Hello, Kaes. So I welcome you to our interview.
Hello.
We actually initially planned to have this done in person in your studio. Sadly, due to COVID restrictions, it's a little bit more difficult at the moment, so we're going to be doing this online. But yeah, I would like to start by asking you to introduce yourself and your artistic career.
My name is Jaime. I'm known as Kaes. I'm a Spanish artist based in London, and the way I end up in here is like starting graffiti as a child, with like around 12 years old, and learning from the older generations. I reached a point that I wanted to bring something new to the table, no? So I started to develop certain techniques and something more related to the world we live in,
Mhm.
and that made me travel a lot and get to know situations and people from different parts of the world. So that's what it.
Awesome, nice. Yeah. Regarding your previous collection, Dopamine, which we will also be presenting and exposing a couple of works of, do you have any strong inspiration points which leads you to creating such work, or just the general attraction and development of your techniques, or what is your inspiration or intention directly with this?
So I'm working always with the relation with the human and the technology.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So working on this, one day I get approached by Sony to do a mural for a celebrity worldwide. So the mural painting was filmed and live all around the world.
Awesome.
I arrived to the work and I start painting like any other day, but I noticed that already there's some fans in there at the 7 a.m. in the morning, some fans waiting for me to paint, and I was like, okay, like this is new. And then suddenly my phone started ringing and making noises, so I was concentrating the job and I switched it off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then during the job, yeah, a lot of filming, more and more people came. At some point, the celebrity came and it went viral. We
All
went
right.
trending topic in Twitter, and all this I was painting like any other day. So then, when I stopped, finished my job, arrived home, switched on my phone again, and it was full with messages. Like literally, I open Instagram and it will crash.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good feedback, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, and I started experiencing what is to become viral, and having a lot of messages, emails, and anything with people saying nice things about me.
Hmm.
So at this point, I was with a friend of mine, and I was smiling, and my friend is like, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you smiling?" And I'm like, "Fuck, man! Like, if you receive hundreds of messages from people that tell you that what you do is dope, that this is affecting me. Like, as much as I'm here and I try to forget about it, this is happening right now,
Yeah.
and it's giving me emotions that I feel happy."
That's some good feedback. Very understandable. This kind of slips into the next question I wanted to ask you. You've developed a ton of techniques in a couple of last previous years. I'd say three. You've been working on three mainly since the time we've met the first time. And this feedback you just shared now about the instant gratification of you creating a mural and it going viral, would you say this directly affects the way you develop your techniques and style? Or does it reflect it in a certain manner? Do you directly adapt your feedback to how you represent it, or is that more of a give and take? Let's say it results in each other.
I think the different techniques that I do is part of the experimentation or who I am. I try things. I move to different places. I don't want to be too repetitive, But at the same time, you need to be repetitive to develop something further.
Hmm.
So all this, the way I manage it together is by the concept of distortion. Like as I see it, we live in a world with each of us a different reality. So the main reality is distorted to what we see through our technology, through our
Hmm.
mobiles or everything. So that's why I combine different techniques. So it's like a glitch, a digital glitch of different versions of the same story.
All right. So you definitely say it's very present about what you mean. So
Yeah.
digitalism definitely has a strong foothold in your technique and style.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Very interesting. And also observing your work and the way you process it. Would you yourself say there are defining differences in your studio work compared to your urban creations, or do they generally follow a similar path?
Um, they generally speak to each other,
Hmm.
but they speak like in different rooms. No, so my urban art is in public, so it's a bit louder because it's looking for a bigger impact.
Okay, yes,
And
understandable.
my work in a studio is a bit more personal, so it focuses more on the concept and minimalize the impact to make it more easy to live with, no? Because as it's designed to be indoors, it's designed to just be calm.
So
And
you'd say maybe it's more aesthetical than it would be politically provocative or such in a studio, or once you decide to do it for a customer.
yeah, I think it will be more kind of in the world of ideas,
Hmm.
more like touch the idea softer, and in public it will be more strong related to a concept, no?
Yeah, I can understand what you mean. I think this would already also slightly slip into the next question I have for you. This is more regarding patterns, or if you have a similar color palette. Do you work with a predefined color palette, or let's say when you start creating your new collection, it's something that you evolve into, or is it prefixed? And now, would you also be reflecting these together in studio and public works, or do you really define differences of those two also with your color schemes and type of representation, or is this more of something that comes along in the development of your project?
So okay, so this is a long story for me, because
Great, that's beautiful.
like it all begins with the studies of color and the emotions or concepts related to color. So in my early career, I will have the opportunity to make a solo exhibition, and at that point, I was painting graffiti in the streets and using a video art, filming the experience of graffiti to reflect it in a gallery. So I needed a color language to represent that. So I start playing with the colds and the warms for a light. So because it was photography.
Hmm.
So I start using a palette in between blue and red, with
Right.
the blue representing all the cold things like our system or the police,
Hmm.
and the red representing the graph or the passion or the emotion.
Okay, that's a
So
very interesting
I start
concept.
mixing them together. That started in 2007, and I work a lot with this palette over the years. But recently, it's like I feel there was too much of this palette around. Many artists pick up this
Yeah.
palette too,
Yeah.
and I wanted. I I never do. I don't believe the hype. I don't follow when someone do the same. You know.
You wanted something out of the ordinary. You wanted to stand out in a way, I guess.
Yes. So then, out of the ordinary. That's the word. So then I decided to using and applying the concept of distortion and the screens, create a new way to see color for myself.
Hmm.
Like we see color as a tone. No, so you have blue and you have dark blue, medium blue, light blue, and the same with every color. So last year for dopamine, I created a palette in which every color forms the tone scale. It's weird, but the thing is, instead of changing the tone, I change the color to apply to the tone. So I
Hmm.
create the scale with different colors, but at the same time, it's different tones.
Yes. Yeah, basically, a recycled shading to have a more various palette of colors.
Yes, and also, like as in our daily life, relations are not always easy or um, like academical, no? So
Mm.
I start to make relations of colors that doesn't make real sense. They they clash together,
Yes.
but I put them together as a tone scale
Hmm.
coexist.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
now,
It's a good
I,
analysis as well. It puts a little bit more depth into your work. I will definitely be perceiving your works with a different eye now that you've mentioned it in this manner.
yes, and after a year of doing that, at the end of the year, I started to think why I don't expand this, why
Hmm.
I start making new relations in between colors and analyzing colors in a different way. I was just worried, or not worried, like a bit bored of the classic color tone gray
Hmm.
which I painted for so many years,
Yes.
like blues with blues, light blue, and then it's beautiful because it is. It's similar to reality. We like it, but it's not challenging.
Yeah. You were trying to look for some innovation, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. It's very interesting the way you formulated it. Um, More directly regarding your artistic developments, you've made very clear and visible progress in techniques, styles, and the way you represent them. Do you have any other, let's say, innovative goals you've set yourself? Will you be following the path you've done in the previous year, or also developing any art toys, any new medias you're experimenting with, or any such projects coming up, or you think it's going to be steady in the course you're going for at the moment?
So certain things are steady, but my experimentation, especially with technology, is not.
All right.
So in terms of murals, is the one I have more experience with, and it's really defined my path and where I'm going.
Hmm.
I'm trying to reach attention to certain topics in the public space. Don't want to be negative or positive. I just want to be objective and open minds.
Absolutely.
With the interior, I'm in this experimentation with color. I'm trying to soften the impact of the painting to be more like a daily
Yeah.
thing, easy to see every day. And then I started designing in a 3D to create like art toys or anything related, even a sculpture. And recently I did myself into the virtual reality.
All right. That's very present as well, and I think could very
So
well reflect your additional works already.
it's weird because it's kind of engineering going on in here now. Like I'm I set into this virtual studio and start building sculptures with immense possibilities.
Yes.
So this is still a lot to learn, and I'm having fun with it at the moment.
Awesome. It's good to hear.
But definitely something I'm experimenting with.
All right. So I think it's you're staying on a steady palette of creation, let's say. You're keeping things interesting. Also, when it comes to your medias and material, it's good to hear. I definitely think you should stay at it. Um, Now, more maybe general to the art scene you've been moving towards. What is your personal perception about the development of urban art in the previous years? Do you see it as it steadily progressing in this direction of it being a multifaceted palette of, let's say, statues, art toys, urban representation, and it's worked together with global corporations. I've seen them arising a lot in the previous years. Do you think it's going to remain a hype, or will people remain interested in the movement the art scene is going in this present day?
That's a really good question, man. Like, fucking hell. Well, I remember when I started that I was doing graffiti and people were talking about it like it was a fashion.
Absolute.
With the years, into the university and having dialogues, uh, I was explaining that this cannot be a fashion, you know.
Yeah.
This is more a cultural movement. So this cultural movement is subversive,
Hmm.
right? And it's not the first. But in my point of view, from the modern age, is the strongest.
Hmm.
For example, you see punk, and punk was subversive, really subversive, too much.
Hmm.
And then the way the system works, when, as I see it, is when something is subversive, it fights the system fights it, blah 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 blah. The system is massive. It's like
Hmm.
an ant fighting with an elephant. It's like crazy.
Mentor.
So then, the system at some point, when you can't with your enemy, uh, grow, make your enemy your friend.
Yes.
But then it make pop, it make punk into pop, and then punk disappear and pop rise.
Yes. So it's basically eliminated the subculture and is deviated in a new direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like adapted
Hmm.
to the system over the years. And with punk happened really fast, but
Yeah.
with graffiti or hip hop or urban culture in general, is happening slower,
Hmm.
and it's steady because it's way more powerful. We're talking about millions of kids around the world starting right now in
Absolutely.
this culture. The thing is, the way I see it developing with in my experience is like starting from a really underground base code thing
Yeah.
to the open of the internet, the open of the barriers, all the propaganda that fuck, some people need to make a living, so they start doing stuff and getting money and make it noise around it.
Mhm.
So then the system, which imagine that is a person, it says, "Oh, um, there we go."
There
So
we go.
people need to leave.
Yeah.
So what if I do something that give them the power to leave? And
Hmm.
that way I can slow the subversive point. And nowadays, what is happening for me is like graffiti is completely criminalized,
Hmm.
and they extract some good concept, which I like this concept because
Hmm.
I've been in the graffiti world and I've been around people that are criminals.
Yes.
For me, they are not artists;
Mhm.
they're criminals.
Yes.
And then when you have like an artistic mind, there's you don't have much conversation with these people. You know,
Hmm. It's different aspects, but you share the similar environment, maybe.
yes. So this new tool that the system created to give us a living the way to collaborate with brands and do stuff is working, but
Mm.
at the same time we need to be careful because it happened before.
Yes.
If you let this go and do anything, like for example, in commission work, you allowed anything to happen into your artwork, like, oh, I want this, and
Mhm. Very
you know,
personalized and
like bespoke stuff, and at some point you are not an artist anymore. But the thing is, you have this fight in yourself, and then what you need to do in my experience is like to create a strong name and a strong concept of what you do and how you do it.
mhm.
That way, certain brands that are interested on that concept will approach you, and that relation will not be dangerous.
Mhm.
If you start advertising yourself as anything can happen, like random things will happen and will destroy your art.
Yeah.
But if you define yourself well, you can collaborate with these brands and empower. They will help you
Mhm.
be part of the modern day. I don't know if it will die because that's already the treatment the system gives to illustrators for
Yeah.
a really long time.
Absolutely. It's a good comparison, especially if you look at the illustrators, because I'd say that's what they mainly do now. They get commissioned jobs
Mhm.
to illustrate their works. But what I think is interesting, you mentioned before, is the comparison of an artist remaining true to his own name and therefore leading him to success in collaborations. So you would say that large corporations, they would be interested only in artists which, let's say, are stand worth to their points of view and aren't too flexible. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a giving party anymore. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to profit maybe from the advertising through the artists, or what did you mean exactly?
That's the ideal. Like that's if we think that behind corporations and in the art direction of a corporation there is a human,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and it have some concepts and it use the brain, If we think they are like machines and they just want to make money, yes, you can see it. It already exists. There is companies that sell you anything you want, and they then reproduce and they work with a lot of brands.
Hmm.
The
Absolutely.
thing, the thing is, are they in the same needs we are?
Yeah, I
I
agree with you. I wouldn't consider them an artist anymore. If they lose too much of their own values, then technically they're not representing much anymore. So it's a
yes,
valid point. I definitely stand to agree with you. No, very interesting. Very interesting.
yes. I mean, ideally, the artist will live from his art and all this. Like, I don't know, I study art in Spain, we have a long story of this, and yeah, that I think that died. And I have experiences with artists that were in, like, more on a contemporary world, right?
Hmm.
And honestly, it's like I don't want to speak too much about it, but it is dark, man. Like there were some dark things going on there, and I see the fellow artists in my discipline that have the opportunity to stand for themselves,
Hmm.
something that to me hip hop teach teaches me, but is that's the main thing that I like. So I think in that terms we can create something fresh and refresh the contemporary, which in some parts contemporary is a bit um, like manipulative, like I don't
Yeah.
know how to say, but artists suffer, man. They have to please people. They they lost a bit of themselves too. That's another thing that happened in art. So we are kind of in the middle with an opportunity, and in these days we need to deal with corporations and brands because
Yeah.
They are just so powerful in the world, and back in the days, they don't even exist. You know.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a valid point. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I definitely think an artist shouldn't lose his face if possible. Some places, yes, maybe you take in a job for a commission, but that's yeah, it's a touchy subject. It's not easy. But I guess to slowly bring this to an end, as we've gone a little bit over time, um, for your future or near future, do you have any upcoming events or personal projects you would like to advertise at this point or spread the word a little bit?
So first, I'm taking part in an exhibition with you guys at the Start Amsterdam, and I'm really proud of that. Looking forward for it.
Yes, thank you.
Then later, I'm taking really serious an exhibition in a Nook Gallery in Switzerland, which you really well know. And after that, I have several commissions in London. But I mean, there is a thing some artists believe that it's not good to talk about certain stuff. I can say a lot of stuff that will sound amazing.
It's fine. You don't need to share anything. We don't wish to jinx anything either.
Yeah, but you know, well, with COVID is crazy also. So
Absolutely.
Paris is in there, Qatar is in there. I have a project in my hometown doing a mural with fine artists.
Awesome.
This is a really curious project. I'm developing a font with all types in London,
Very cool. Very cool.
and I don't know graphic designs like well more illustration
Mhm.
for different companies and brands. Now is the thing. Now people is like, oh yeah, I want this design in my label or this that like a street artist or urban artist. We are joining the illustration world.
Absolutely. I think that's we could make a whole interview about just that aspect, really.
Yeah, man.
But no, it's good to see you're keeping busy. I'm always happy to be informed about your future projects and everything upcoming. As as usual, we'll be in touch. At this point, I would like to thank you for your time and attendance. And yeah, we'll
Oh,
look
thank you.
forward to continue working with you and keeping an eye out for what you're doing. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Yes,
Oh man, same for me. Thank you very much for this interview and to give me the opportunity to explain something. I hope it makes sense. I don't know.
absolutely does.
And yeah, man, I wish you the best for this new year.
Thank you. You too, Jay.
And hopefully we can start traveling and meeting in random places.
Absolutely, like we're
Man,
used to
it's
it.
amazing. Yeah, man.
No, it was a pleasure talking to you. We'll be in touch.